Hey guys and gals in sporting land, this is the OCF. I am the outlaw of college football, and you guys and gals are home of Common Joe and Common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Now, let's get right to it. Been rumblings and rumors going around that maybe, just maybe, Jim Harbaugh may be in line for another crack at the NFL. Not as far-fetched as some people going to the NFL. I mean, who the hell ever thought Urban Meyer would end up in the NFL? But Jim has won at every level. He's won at small-time colleges like San Diego University. He's won in the NFL. He's won at the college level at Stanford and at Michigan. Stanford's probably the most impressive job, in my opinion, that he done. I mean, they're still, to this day, living off of a lot of the stuff that Jim Harbaugh done while he was there. Stanford was dead in the water. But would he consider going back to the NFL now that he's accomplished some of the things that he wanted to accomplish when he first came to Michigan? He wanted to win a Big Ten title. He's done that. He wanted to beat Ohio State. He's done that. Now that he's got those two things out of the way, maybe he can consider going back to the NFL. And I told you guys last year on my previous channel, J&J Outlaw that I used to have, that I thought that Michigan extending Jim Harbaugh was a masterful move on their part. Now, they did make him take a pay cut and get rid of some people. But Jim come through. He finally beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten title. As a matter of fact, not trying to pat myself on the back, but I called this earlier in the year. You can go back and look at some of my videos. I said this was the year that I thought that Jim Harbaugh would break through. Because, like I said, he's won everywhere he's been. And now everybody wants to get on his bandwagon because he finally broke through. Well, Jim, he's a guy that strikes me as somebody that remembers things. Maybe holds a slight grudge. And he may say, hey, you know what? I did what I set out to do here. I didn't win a national championship, but I did set out to do two main things, and I've done two of those things, beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten. And now that I've done that and y'all made me take a pay cut, now it's time for me to move on. So, you can't blame the guy if he does. I mean, outside of Ohio State and a few losses to Michigan State, he pretty much beat everybody. He had a pretty damn good record. He's got a pretty damn good record at Michigan. Haven't got the numbers in front of me right now, but he's a good probably 20 or 30 games over 500. So, I think that Jim Harbaugh would consider going to the NFL. Chicago Bears maybe, Jacksonville Jaguars, Las Vegas Raiders. Those are the three jobs that come to mind. I think Jim would be an excellent fit for the Chicago Bears. Might even be able to bring back the days gone by of Mike Ditka and Jim McMahon and the Super Bowl Shuffle and all that stuff. Showing my age now. But let's say Jim Harbaugh does leave, which there's a pretty good strong possibility. I say it's probably right now 50-50 that Jim stays or goes. I'm not really sold on either one. But let's say he does go. Let's say Jim Harbaugh leaves and packs up and goes on to the NFL. Who would be the main candidates to replace him? Now, I've seen reports that they might stay internal. They might go with a Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator, or Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator. And then, of course, there's Mike Hart, who all the players like. And he was a legendary running back in the early 2000s at Michigan. Those are the three inside candidates that they might go after. And they could do that. They could pull a Notre Dame. Although I'm not too sold on the Notre Dame hire just yet. He's got a lot to prove. Now, Mike Hart is a guy that the players are rallying around. And it seems like these days that colleges are more apt to listen to the players and give them what they want. I think it would be a mistake. Mike Hart has no experience as a coordinator yet. No head coaching experience either. So I think it'd be premature to give Mike Hart the reins, in my opinion. I think they need to look outside the program. Hopefully Lloyd Carr's not lurking around and still meddling like Phil Fulmer does at Tennessee. Something about these coaches that quit and retire and just keep meddling. I just don't get it. But if I had to come up with a few candidates, and there's been outside the box candidates that people have been talking about. Dabo Swinney maybe not happy at Clemson. Dabo I don't think will be a fit at Michigan. Lane Kiffin, another guy, I just don't know if he'd be a fit there. But there is a guy that used to be a head coach in the Big Ten and in the NFL that I think would be a perfect fit. And that's Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator at Alabama. If he doesn't go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I hear that he's also interviewing for the Jacksonville job as well. If Bill doesn't go back to the NFL, I think Bill O'Brien will be the perfect fit for Michigan football. He brought Penn State out of a horrendous situation with the Sandusky crap that was going on. And I think that he would do a good job in replacing Jim Harbaugh if it did happen. Now, the leading candidate probably of all these guys, though, for the Michigan people, in my opinion, may be Luke Fickell. Now, he is an Ohio State guy, but what better way to stick it to Ohio State than to stick it to them with the guy that they passed on? Luke Fickell was an interim coach at Ohio State, I think, for almost a whole year, and he done a very decent job in his interim role. But he didn't get the job. They give it to Urban Meyer, and we know the rest of the story. Now Ryan Day's the head coach. But Luke Fickell, I think, is the guy that Michigan will probably pursue first. They may even go after Matt Campbell, because that's another name. He's lost a little bit of his luster because he went 7-6 this year. But I still think Matt Campbell is a good candidate if someone wants a good up-and-coming coach. But in the end, I think it'll come down to Luke Fickell or Bill O'Brien. And that's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals tell me what you think about this situation, whether you think that Jim Harbaugh may be living for the NFL, number one. And number two, who would you get to replace? And number three, just a fun question for you guys and gals out there. Should JPC color his beard? My gray's coming back out. Got the little black handlebars and then the little gray. Should I color it or should I not? That is the question. With that, I'm off of here. KMCA to all the other teams.